Hi everybody, thanks for coming back. Welcome to my channel, Shine Kind Light. Today we are going to be making these frozen coffee filters. They're kind of winter wonderland inspired. They are super simple, just a couple of materials needed, and you'll be surprised at how easy they are to make. And before we get to our project, I like to share a little inspirational message, and today's quote is by James Keller, and it says, "A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle." And I really like that, because how true is that? It only makes a room brighter or a space brighter, and it only brings more light and more illumination, and it makes darker places lighter. And so I really like that one a lot. And so now let's get on to our lesson. In today's lesson, we will be starting out with some coffee filters. These happen to be an 8 to 12 cup size. I honestly have no idea if there's another size of coffee filter. I believe these were just from Walmart or possibly even the dollar store. They're just regular old coffee filters. And you start out by taking one and flattening it out. And then with a ruler, I go ahead and I try to make sure nothing curls back on me. But then I try to make a line straight down the middle. I'd like to use a ruler. You don't need to at all. That's just what I like to do. Then I turn it to make a cross or a T, and then turn it again a quarter time, and then we'll do a third line, and then another quarter turn, and we'll do a fourth line. So that gives us 8 pieces to our, I was gonna say to our pie, but it's to our snowflake. And then I just go ahead and start to make little lines, and I don't really have a method. You could totally Google snowflake doodles or snowflake designs or anything like that, or snowflake line images, and find some images that you like. I'm just kind of freestyling it and just kind of going for it. Now, the way that you make that little, almost like a little flower in the middle, is that you just do a bunch of peaked lines. And then the designs for the lines are quite opposite, and they just go up like an arrow, in opposite of what you've got down in the middle. The little, it almost looks like a poinsettia to me. And so I'm just going to go through and finish this one up, and then we will start the next one. For this snowflake, I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm not going to go all the way down from the one edge to the other. I'm going to measure and take about an inch off of each of the ends. And so I'm going to go about, let's see, yeah, just take an inch off of each of them. So then you're leaving kind of a edge around the outside. And then you just turn it around and make a T shape, just like this. And then turn it a corner turn, and then make another line. Just make sure that everything is symmetrical. Whatever you do on one end, you do it again on another side. And so if you may leave an inch border on one side, make sure you leave an inch border on the opposite side. And now I'm just going to go through and do some more little doodles. I will put this one up to the side when I'm done with it, so you can see what I've done, just like I've got the other one up in the top left corner. Now the way this snowflake is starting to take shape, it almost reminds me of some Scandinavian lace pieces. My grandmother's family was from Sweden, and we had a lot of the fabrics and designs and clothings and cloths from Sweden. And as I am going through and putting these designs in, I wonder if it's kind of things in my memory that have kind of stuck with me, some little images or something of things that I grew up with. And so this one is really kind of fun. I really like this one. It's kind of special to my heart. And like I said before, just whatever you do on one line of your snowflake, make sure you repeat on all of the pieces. You could have 6 lines total and in 6 pieces, 3 lines total with 6 pieces of your snowflake, or you could have the 4 lines and the 8 pieces. But whatever you do, make sure you do the exact same thing on or in between each of the lines, so everything is symmetrical, or as symmetrical as handmade can be, because these are all hand drawn, and so not everything is going to be perfect. And that's what's amazing, because snowflakes in nature are not perfect, but they come and no two are the same. And so that's what makes it fun, to just kind of play and create and make it fun for yourself. Okay, so we've got 2 of the 3 done that I'm going to do. And I'm actually going to move these off to the side. So if you want to see the second one that I just made, go ahead and rewind a little bit and pause if you need some inspiration for yours. Now this one I'm going to do quite similar to the last one, where I'm going to leave the inch border on the outsides of the snowflake. I kind of like how that effect looked. And so just going to leave an inch border, and then repeating the steps just the same way I did the second one. And we're going to have 8 pieces total again. Okay, we've got our third one completed, and I forgot to show you, I'm just using a fine tip Sharpie marker to do all of these things. It does need to be a permanent marker because we are going to be using water. The materials, I didn't have the materials out in front at the beginning of this video, but the materials I'm using are a coffee filter, a Sharpie, and then just washable markers. They can be crazy art, they can be Crayola, they can be rose art, whatever kind you have will work. and then you'll just need water. And so pretty simple, pretty easy. So we're gonna fold it in half. I'm just taking the first one that I made, and then I'll fold it in quarters. And then you can fold it again into eighths, or you can leave it in quarters, whatever you want to do. This one, I like the design that it's showing right now, and so I want to make a little bit more interest and use different colors. And so I'm going to leave this one into fourths, folded into fourths. And the following, I believe I end up doing them into eighths, but the way that this one is working, I like this. And so I am using what I like to call the Frozen colors. They remind me of the movie Frozen. And so we're using blues and purples and magenta and turquoise and all of those colors that you might see Miss Elsa wearing and in the Frozen Palace. And so I'm just going over the lines that I made with Sharpie. You don't have to do any other specific designs, but you are more than welcome to. I want to kind of highlight the snowflake designs that we've got. And so I'm just choosing to use my washable markers and just go through and kind of make some colors. Now, the one thing that I would warn you about or recommend is that if you're using the magenta and the teal, that you kind of don't want to use those two right next to each other, just because those are base colors of magenta would be red and the teal would be green. And those two together kind of make mud, because those are what we call complementary colors. They're on opposite sides of the color wheel. And so those two you don't really want to have right next to each other. And that's why here I'm going to be putting the teal and the blue, because the teal is actually blue and green together. But one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're letting your marker bleed through enough into the next layers, because this will help solidify your design. Okay, we've got everything colored on this one, and I like how it looks and the design and the colors. And I'm just going to use another coffee filter. You can use a napkin, you can use paper towel, whatever you feel that you want to use. It's just going to absorb the water that's going down. And so now I'm just going to put water. I'm just using a paintbrush and water. You could use a spray bottle, you could use anything you want, but I'm just kind of making sure I fully saturate the coffee filter. You don't want it to be soaking like in puddles that you could wring it out, but you just want to make sure that the water is absorbed through all of the layers. I love how the coffee filter on the bottom, you start to be able to see the colors bleed out. Now I'm just using another coffee filter to kind of absorb some of the excess liquid. That I kind of put a little bit too much water on that one, and so I'm just absorbing that so I can lift this up And then I'm going to open it out. I opened it in half and then open it fully. They kind of stick, so you have to be careful because it's real thin. And then we lay it out, and you can see the design from the colors. And let me put this down for you so you can see a little bit better. But you can see the design from the markers and where I put the different colors. And so that's how you make a coffee filter snowflake. It's just with the washable markers, and you use the benefit of the washable markers that they are water soluble, and so they will bleed and go out with the water. Now I just repeat the same process again, and this one I'm going ahead and folding into eighths, and because I like the design how it looks in eighths. And so this one I'm going through, and I can kind of see the marker designs from the Sharpie through here, and so I'm going to over shade in these sections because I can tell that it's going to continue on through the next layers, and that it'll still carry a nice effect through the design that we've already got going. And so I'm just going to color this in and repeat the same steps, and then you'll see me do our third piece, our third coffee filter, and through the exact same steps. We just fill it in the designs with marker, and then use a paintbrush or, like I said, your spray bottle, and go through and wet it and open it up. I lay it down on another coffee filter just to dry out. And what's cool about that is that you get what we call a ghost image in printmaking. And that is where you have a similar image to what you were working with before, with your original image. And so it's kind of, they call it a ghost image because it's just kind of faintly the same style as the original that you're working with. And so I just use the excess coffee filters to kind of absorb my wet workspace too. Now open that up and get another coffee filter out so it dries, and that absorbs it a little bit and dries nicely. And then they just dry flat. And we'll get the third one going and talk about what you can do after. Okay, we've got our third one done and just laying it out to dry. And I will show you, it does get all over your fingers, but it's washable marker, so it just washes off. And now here are my snowflakes, now that they're all dry. Now that center one, I just kind of crinkled in my hand to give it that texture and more of that, almost kind of a natural effect like snowflakes. And then my little Scandinavian, I think, inspired one. And my third one, I think this one's real fun with the different little shapes. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and hit that subscribe button right down there in the bottom right corner, and hit the bell button if you want to receive notifications for when I post weekly videos. I'd love to hear from you. Please comment below if you have any questions or ideas for videos that you would like to see in the future. Have a great day.